أصحاب السبت, the violators of the Sabbath. قال الله تعالى, said God exalted is He, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ الَّذِينَ اعْتَدَوْا مِنْكُمْ فِي السَّبْتِ فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِئِينَ. We swear that we have known those who transgressed amongst you Jews on the Sabbath. And so we said to them, become despicable apes. فَجَعَلْنَاهَا نَكَالًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهَا وَمَا خَلْفَهَا وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. And so we made that deformation an exemplary punishment for those before them, those who received the revelation of this story before it happened. وَمَا خَلْفَهَا, and those after them, like ourselves, who received the revelation after it happened. وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ, and we made it a lesson for the God-fearing. That's in Surah Al-Baqarah. على شاطئ البحر الأحمر كانت قرية أيلة. On the shore of the Red Sea was the town of Ayla, التي ذكرت قصتها في القرآن الكريم. That town whose story was mentioned in the noble Quran in Surah Al-Ma'idah, if I'm not mistaken. The town of Ayla is named. And we just recited from Surah Al-Baqarah, so that's a mentioning, a hint to the story, but the town of Ayla was named in the Quran. حيث كان أصحاب السبت, where the violators of the Sabbath were. الذين فسقوا فمسخهم الله قردة وخنازير, those who committed major sin. It was never confirmed for me that they committed blasphemy. There's nothing in the story that's blasphemy as far as I know, and never learned that they committed blasphemy here. Despite that, Allah deformed them into pigs and monkeys and pigs. كان اليهود قبل بعثة النبي, and I asked some of the sheikhs, is there some confirmed blasphemy that these people committed? So no one confirmed for me exactly what blasphemy, if there was some blasphemy. كان اليهود قبل بعثة النبي يكتمون هذه القصة. Before the prophet was dispatched, the Jews used to hide this story. لما فيها من التوبيخ والذل لهم, because of what this story contained of degrading them. It was an embarrassing story for them. They used to hide this story, but anyway, the Jews did not used to share their culture. They didn't used to share their culture with the Arabs, and the Jews are not people of da'wah. They don't call people to their religion. They believe they are the chosen people who shall go to heaven, and everyone else is, from their perspective, is a kafir, that they're allowed to take advantage of him. على ما جرى مع بعض أسلافهم من بني إسرائيل من الإهلاك والمسخ. This was embarrassing for them because of what happened to some of their ancestors from the children of Israel, of being destroyed and deformed. لكن الله فضحهم في القرآن الكريم. However, Allah exposed them in the noble Quran. عندما أوحى إلى نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم تلك القصة. When Allah revealed this story to his prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam ليحذر اليهود من تعنتهم وتكبرهم ورفضهم الإيمان به عليه الصلاة والسلام. To warn the Jews, Allah revealed that to warn the Jews from their stubbornness and their arrogance and their refusal to believe in Him. May peace and blessings be upon Him. مذكرا إياهم ما حل بإخوانهم في قرية أيلة, reminding them what happened to their brothers in the town of Aylah. فما هي تلك القصة? So what is that story? كان المسلمون من بني إسرائيل أيام نبيهم داود وقبلها يمتنعون عن العمل. The Muslims from the children of Israel in the days of their prophet David and before that were prohibited from working والتجارة والصناعة والصيد يوم السبت, from working and trading and manufacturing and hunting on Saturday. Yani the law of Sabbath was revealed to Moses as an Islamic law, but that law was abrogated. So it is no longer applicable. The Jews, because they didn't want to believe in Jesus when he came, they stayed following some abrogated laws of the Torah. And then when Muhammad came, they increased in blasphemy and they denied him too, and they stayed following abrogated laws of the Torah, such as this Sabbath, which they don't adhere to properly. Yani even they, in their claim of observing the Sabbath, they're breaking the rules. إذ كان هذا الأمر حراما في شريعتهم إذ كان هذا الأمر حراما في شريعتهم ابتلاء لهم من الله, since this matter was forbidden in their sacred law as a test for them from God. وَلِيُظْهِرَ لِلنَّاسِ مَنْ يَلْتَزِمُ بِأَوَامِرِهِ وَمَنْ يَعْصِيهِ, and so that he would expose to the people who adheres to his commands and who disobeys him. وَكَانَتِ الْحِيتَانُ وَالْأَثْمَاقُ تَأْتِي يَوْمَ السَّبْتِ حَتَّى إِنَّهَا, and the fish used to come on Saturday for these people in this town. حتى إنها تكاد أن تصاد باليد من قربها, to the extent that they could practically be caught by hand by being so close and so crowded too. لأنها ألهمت أنها لا تصاد في هذا اليوم, because Allah inspired these fish to know that they will not be fished on that day. لنهيه تعالى بني إسرائيل عن صيدها, because God forbade the children of Israel from fishing on that day. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. So that's how the things are sometimes. The test from Allah Ta'ala, you are forbidden, and then what you are forbidden from will be presented to you, made accessible to you, and it's your duty to refrain. And then if you don't, then if Allah willed, something will happen. فكانت تأتي بكميات كبيرة إلى شاطئ قرية أيلة, and so they used to come in big amounts to the shore of the town of Aylah. وتتزاحم هناك, and they would crowd there, those fish. فلا يخوفونها ولا يفزعونها, and the people in observing the Sabbath would not scare the fish off or frighten them away. وإذا كان غير يوم السبت لزمت الحيتان والأسماك قاع البحر, and on any other day besides Saturday, the fish would adhere to the bottom of the sea. فلم ير منهن شيء حتى يأتي السبت التالي, and not a single one of them would be seen until the next Saturday would come. ولكن النفس الخبيثة سرعان ما يقودها الشيطان إلى العصيان والفساد. However, the wretched self, how swiftly does the devil drive it to disobedience and corruption. فإن أحد أهل القرية اشتهى أكل السمك. Indeed, one day, one of the people of the town desired to eat fish. فأغواه الشيطان. And so the devil enticed him. وزين له القيام بحيلة لاصطياد ما يشتهي منها. And he beautified for him. He decorated for him doing a trick, performing some trick for snagging a fish that he desired. Interesting, just today I saw a reel on Instagram, I think it was, maybe it was YouTube, of a Jewish woman showing all her tricks, what she does, which not really getting away with anything. Saying on Saturday, I'm not allowed to do this, and I'm not allowed to do that, and I'm not allowed to do this, I'm not allowed to do that. But if I do it this way, or if I do it that way, then I will not be violating the Sabbath. She'll be doing exactly what she's not supposed to do according to her. Subhanallah. فَأَتَى إِلَى شَاطِئِ الْبَحْرِ يَوْمَ السَّبْتِ. So he went to the seashore on Saturday. وَرَأَى سَمَكَةً كَبِيرَةً تَسْبَحُ قَرِيبَةً مِنْهُ. And he saw a big fish swimming close to him. فَرَبَطَ ذَيْلَهَا بِحَبْلٍ. So he tied its tail with a rope. وَوَضَعَ الطَّرَفَ الْآخَرَ فِي وَتِدٍ عَلَى الشَّاطِئِ. And he tied the other end of the rope to a peg on the shore. وَذَهَبَ. And then he left. So this is how he justified for himself that he didn't fish. And that's fishing right there. He just didn't pull it out. فَلَمَّا انْقَضَى النَّهَارُ عَادَ هَذَا الرَّجُلُ. So then when the daytime was over, meaning when Maghrib came in, and so Sabt is over, the man came back. وَأَخَذَ السَّمَكَةَ إِلَى مَنْزِلِهِ. And he took the fish to his house. وَنَظَّفَهَا وَشَوَاهَا. And he cleaned it and he barbecued it. فَانْبَعَثَتْ رَائِحَتُهَا حَوْلَ دَارِهِ. And then its scent went around his house. فَأَتَاهُ جِيرَانُهُ يَسْأَلُونَهُ عَنْ ذَلِكَ. So then his neighbors came asking him about that. فَأَنْكَرَ مَا فَعَلَ. So he denied what he did. وَلَمَّا أَصَرُّوا عَلَيْهِ قَالَ لَهُمْ. So when they insisted, he said to them, إِنَّهُ جِلْدُ سَمَكَةٍ وَجَدْتُهُ وَشَوَيْتُهُ. It was just a fish skin that I found, so I cooked it. فَلَمَّا كَانَ السَّبْتُ الْآخَرِ فَعَلَ مِثْلَ ذَلِكَ. So then the next Saturday he did like that again. فَلَمَّا شَمَّ النَّاسُ رَائِحَةَ الشِّوَاءِ سَأَلُوهُ. So then when the people smelled the scent of the barbecue, they asked him. فَقَالَ لَهُمْ. And so he said to them, إِنْ شِئْتُمْ صَنَعْتُمْ كَمَا أَصْنَعْ. If you want, and so he said to them, if you want, you can do like I did. Or you can do what I did. Or like I did. فَقَالُوا لَهُ. So they said to him, وَمَا صَنَعْتَ. And what did you do? فَأَخْبَرَهُمْ. So he told them, فَفَعَلُوا مِثْلَ مَا فَعَلَ. And then they did like he did. وَنَوَّعُوا فِي اسْتِعْمَالِ الْحِيلَةِ. And each one came with a different way, with a different trick. فقام بعضهم يوم الجمعة بحفر حفر متصلة بالبحر بواسطة ممرات يسهل سدها. So some of them came and they dug canals from the sea in such a way that makes it easy for them to shut the canal and trap a fish. فإذا كان يوم السبت كثر هذا الأمر. And then when Saturday came, this issue spread. حتى فعله الكثيرون, until many were doing it. Subhanallah wa bihamdih. ووصل بهم الأمر أن اصطادوها يوم السبت علانية وباعوها في الأسواق. And then they got carried away until they were fishing openly on the Sabbath and selling in the markets. They opened the markets on the Sabbath. فكان هذا من أعظم الاعتداء. And so this was amongst the greatest of violations. Imagine if the Muslims in some area decided they're not going to do Jumu'ah anymore and they're just going to stay in the markets and keep the markets open. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. That would be a very severe thing there. وَلَمَّا جَاهَرَ الْفُسَّاقُ بِطَرِيقَتِهِمْ. So then, excuse me, when the vice doers were openly doing what they do, قام علماء بني إسرائيل المسلمون ونهوهم عن هذا. The scholars of the children of Israel, the scholars of the Muslim children of Israel got up to forbid them. وَنَهَوْهُمْ عَنْ هَذَا, to forbid them from this. وَخَوَّفُوهُمْ, and they preached to them. They lectured them. فَلَمْ يَقْبَلُوا, but they didn't accept. فَجَعَلُوا بَيْنَهُمْ وَبَيْنَ الْفُسَّاقِ جِدَارًا فِي الْقَرْيَةِ. So they erected between themselves and the vice doers a wall in the town. وَلَمْ يَعُودُوا يُسَاكِنُوهُمْ, and they stopped living with them. So here, they lectured to them, they warned them, etc. Yani, if you found yourself in something you shouldn't be involved in, and then there came to you the reminder to, what you call, abandon ship, get out of this wrongdoing, get out of it, stop, and repent before it's too late, then do so before it's too late. وَفِي اللَّيْلِ جَاءَ أَمْرُ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى, and then in the night there came God's command, exalted is He. فَانْتَقَمَ مِنَ الَّذِينَ فَسَقُوا, and so He punished those who committed vice. وَمَسَخَ شُبَّانَهُمْ قِرَدَةً, and He deformed their youth into monkeys or apes. وَعَجَائِزَهُمْ خَنَازِيرٌ, and their elders into pigs or hogs. كَمَا قِيلَ, as it was said. So what's confirmed in the ayah is qirada, monkeys or apes. So in Arabic it's going to be monkey or ape, same word. In English they say monkey for what has a tail, and they say ape for what does not have a tail. Allah knows best. فقام الذين أمروا بالمعروف ونهوا عن المنكر صباحا. And so those who did enjoin the good and forbid the evil, they got up one morning. وذهبوا إلى أعمالهم ومساجدهم ومجتمعاتهم, to go to their work and masjids and meetings. فَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَحَدًا مِنَ الْفَاسِقِينَ, and they didn't see any of the vice doers. فَاسْتَغْرَبُوا, and they were astonished. وَتَسَاءَلُوا فِي مَا بَيْنَهُمْ, and they wondered amongst each other, yani inquisitive and asking. وَقَامَ أَحَدُهُمْ وَوَضَعَ سُلَّمًا عَلَى الْجِدَارِ, so one of them got up and put a ladder against the wall. وَصَعِدَ عَلَيْهِ, and he climbed it. فَلَمَّا أَشْرَفَ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ رَأَى عَجَبًا, so then when he was at the top over the people, he saw something astonishing. إِذْ أَصْبَحَ الْفُسَّاقُ قِرَدَةً لَهَا أَذْنَابٌ, they were monkeys Since those vice doers became monkeys with tails, so they were monkeys for sure. يتعاون, barking, ويقفزون على بعضهم, and jumping upon each other, وخنازير, and pigs, تصدر أصواتا قبيحة, producing very horrible sounds. ففتحوا عليهم الأبواب, so the people opened the doors. وَدَخَلُوا, and then those monkeys and pigs came in. وَصَارَ كُلُّ قِرْدٍ يَأْتِي قَرِيبَهُ مِنَ الْإِنسِ, and every monkey would go to his human relative. فَيَشُمُّ ثِيَابَهُ, and he would sniff him. وَيَبْكِي, and then he would cry. Subhanallah. That's what happens when the punishment of Allah comes and the person find himself where, at the point of no return. فَيَقُولُ الْإِنسِي, and then the human would say, أَلَمْ نَنْهَكُمْ, didn't we forbid you? فَيُشِيرُ الْقِرْدُ بِرَأْسِهِ نَعَمْ, and then the monkey would nod his head, yes. وَكَانُوا قَبْلَ الْمَسْخِ قَدْ افْتَرَقُوا, and before this deformation, the people of the town broke into groups. كَمَا قِيلَ, as it was said, إِلَى ثَلَاثِ فِرَقٍ, into 3 groups. فِرْقَةٌ عَصَتْ, one group disobedient. وَصَادَتْ, and they fished. وَكَانُوا نَحْوًا مِّن 70,000 أَلْفًا, they were about 70,000. This is something that makes the issue more abominable, that they gathered on this. So for 70,000 of them to do this, it's not like for one of them or 2 of them to do it. وَهُمُ الَّذِينَ مُسِخُوا, they were those who were deformed. وَفِرْقَةٌ نَهَتْ وَتَنَحَّتْ, and another group forbade and withdrew. وَكَانُوا 12 أَلْفًا, and they were 12,000. وَفِرْقَةٌ تَنَحَّتْ وَلَمْ تَنْهَ, and there was a third group, they also withdrew but they did not forbid. وَلَمْ تَعْصُ, and they did not commit the disobedience. وَهَذِهِ الْفِرْقَةُ الْأَخِيرَةُ, and this last group, قَالَتْ لِلْفِرْقَةِ الثَّانِيَةِ, said to the second group, الَّتِي نَهَتْ عَنِ الْحَرَامِ, the group that forbade the forbidden. لِمَ تَعِظُونَ قَوْمًا عُصَاةً سَيُهْلِكُهُمُ اللَّهُ. لِمَ تَعِظُونَ قَوْمًا عُصَاةً, why do you preach to disobedient people? سَيُهْلِكُهُمُ اللَّهُ وَسَيُعَذِّبُهُمْ, Allah will destroy them and punish them. So that's how they saw. So it's obvious that their view was short-sighted. To say, leave them alone. Allah will punish them. على ما كانوا يتوقعونه بعد مخالفة أمر الله تعالى. That's what they said according to what they expected after this disobedience to Allah Ta'ala. This mass disobedience to Allah. How many is that, by the way? 70,000 plus 12,000? So that's 82,000 plus more. So that's why I translated it as town. That's a sizable population there. That's city. The Arabic word that's being used in the story is qaryah, and in the ayah of the Quran. Qaryah, so one might translate it as village. You could say village, but maybe gives the impression that it's small. Mm. So 80,000 people. That's bigger than many of the towns that people today live in. Modern towns. وما عرف من فعل الله بالأمم العاصية السابقة. And they said that from what is known about what God did to disobedient, past or prior disobedient nations. فقال الناهون عن المنكر. So those who did forbid the evil said, موعظتنا من باب التذكير. Our lecturing them was a reminder. لعلهم يتقون. Perhaps they will fear God. ويتراجعون. And then retract. Yes, that's one of the benefits of going to Jumu'ah. And if you know a pious preacher who preaches, go to his preaching sessions. Will touch your heart, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. You might repent. Yani, if you are someone who needs to repent and change your lifestyle. And there's stories about that. Sheikh Ahmad Al-Rifa'i is reported about him that he used to preach, and many people, when he would preach, would repent in his sessions. And some of the people who were, it's mentioned that Ahmad Al-Rifa'i, he used to cut the hair of some of those who would repent. What does that mean? It means, like, you know how we have in our day, look how you have people with like purple hair and green hair and wild hairstyles, because they are being silly in the dunya, misbehaving and irreligious. So then they would repent, and then the sheikh would cut their hair for them. Subhanallah. Although I didn't hear they have different colors hairs in those days, but just to give you an example. وَلَمْ تَهْلِكْ وَلَمْ تَهْلِكْ إِلَّا الْفِرْقَةُ الْأُولَى الْعَاصِيَةِ. And no one was destroyed but the first group, the disobedient one. وَأَنْجَى اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ نَهَوْا وَالَّذِينَ لَمْ يَعْصُوا. And Allah spared those who forbade, and He spared those who did not indulge in the sin. But don't forget, not forbidding when able and without an excuse, it is a sin. Now, it could be that those people who forbade, their forbidding was enough to fulfill the communal obligation of forbidding the evil, and then others didn't forbid and therefore were not sinful. That's possible. And it's possible that some did not forbid and would be sinful. But Allah didn't punish those who did not violate the Sabbath with this punishment here. وَلَمْ يَبْقَ الَّذِينَ مُسِخُوا أَحْيَاءً أَكْثَرَ مِنْ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ. And those who were deformed did not remain alive for more than 3 days. وَلَمْ يَأْكُلُوا خِلَالَهَا. And they did not eat during those days. وَلَمْ يَشْرَبُوا. Nor did they drink. وَلَمْ يَخْرُجْ مِنْهُمْ نَسْلٌ. Nor did they reproduce. وَكَانُوا عِبْرَةً بَالِغَةً لِمَنْ أَتَى بَعْدَهُمْ مِنَ الْأُمَمِ. And they were a lesson, a great lesson for those who came after them, for those nations that came after them. وَلِمَنْ رَآهُمْ وَعَرَفَ قِصَّتَهُمْ. And for those who saw them and knew their story.